Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to explore a totally fascinating hidden world that is literally rolling right down our highways every single day. If you've ever driven on an interstate, you've undoubtedly passed hundreds of those massive, unmarked white trailers. You know the ones. They look completely ordinary on the outside, but on the inside, they are absolute marvels of modern engineering and logistics. We're talking about reefer trucks, the refrigerated trailers that serve as the backbone of our global food and medical supply chains. Seriously, without them, the modern world as we know it simply wouldn't exist. So we're going to unpack the incredible invisible science that keeps our perishables perfectly preserved while flying down the road at 65 miles per hour. Now, to really understand this hidden world, we've got to start by shattering some everyday assumptions. Think about your refrigerator at home for a second. It does a decent job keeping your milk cold, right? But it's sitting in a perfectly climate-controlled kitchen. Now imagine taking that same refrigerator, strapping it onto 18 wheels, and driving it straight through the sweltering desert. The sheer mechanical power required to maintain an artificial climate inside a moving metal box is staggering. So it begs a really provocative question. Just how cold does a reefer truck actually get? Okay, let's dive into this, because the answer is truly extreme. A reefer truck can get all the way down to a bone-chilling -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, you heard that right. That is well below zero, vastly colder than most people would ever expect. These aren't just rolling coolers, folks. They are heavy-duty, mobile deep freezes, capable of sustaining extreme sub-zero temperatures over thousands of miles. Operators handling frozen freight absolutely rely on this incredible cooling power, because in their line of work, even the slightest temperature shift can become an absolute disaster. But, what makes these machines so remarkable isn't just how cold they can get, it's their incredible flexibility. The standard operating range for most of these trailers actually spans from that -20 degrees all the way up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Day to day, these trucks don't just sit at a single freezing temperature. Instead, they operate within a highly specific, narrow band that is precisely tailored to whatever load they happen to be carrying on that given day. It's literally a completely customized climate for every single trip. Moving on to Section 2, Inside the Deep Freeze, matching cargo to climate. And this brilliantly illustrates what we mean by tailored climates. For example, a frozen shipment like ice cream typically needs to sit at -10 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. That deep freeze is absolutely required to keep everything completely stable during a multi-day long-haul trip. But if you take that exact same setting and apply it to fresh produce, you'd completely ruin the load. Lettuce or fresh berries need a totally different environment, usually something right around 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you have pharmaceuticals, stuff like medicines and vaccines. These can be fussier than both food types, requiring incredibly narrow, highly sensitive margins where even the tiniest temperature changes matter a tremendous amount. Which brings us to Section 3, the cost of being wrong. Why temperature control matters. If those temperatures shift even slightly during transit, well, the contrast is stark. On one side, you have a safe cold chain. This means the cargo is intact, fully compliant with FDA regulations, and meets strict industry standards. Most importantly, it's safe for us consumers. On the flip side, you have spoiled cargo. If temperatures climb above safe levels, bacteria begin to multiply rapidly. And for frozen goods, the damage isn't just biological, it's physical. When frozen goods thaw and then refreeze, they actually start breaking down structurally. So getting the temperature wrong isn't just a minor inconvenience, it completely destroys the physical and biological integrity of the whole shebang. And that brings us to the massive financial liability. A single load of spoiled seafood or a batch of ruined vaccines can easily cost tens of thousands of dollars for just one trip. Transportation companies face severe consequences and enormous financial liability if they deliver compromised products, especially when we're dealing with critical food or medical supplies. The pressure to get this right 100% of the time, it is monumental. Let's look at Section 4, Battling the Outside Elements, the War Against the Heat. Maintaining these perfect temperatures requires winning a fierce, ongoing conflict against several major threats. First up, outside conditions. A truck running through Dallas or Arizona in the peak of July heat is working infinitely harder than one cruising through Montana in the winter. Humidity, wind, and direct baking sunlight all dramatically impact the system's performance. Next is insulation quality. This is your primary barrier. Better insulation means the refrigeration unit doesn't have to work overtime, which saves fuel and holds temperatures consistent. Then we have cargo loading. You can't just throw boxes in the back and hope for the best. Properly stacked pallets are required to allow airflow to circulate. Otherwise, poorly loaded cargo creates hotspots. Finally, equipment maintenance. A unit with dirty coils or low refrigerant simply won't hit its target consistently. Every single one of these factors is a distinct threat that must be actively managed. So how do they manage it? Section 5, Modern Temperature Technology, keeping a digital eye on the ice. To win this war against the elements, dispatchers and drivers rely on some seriously high-tech solutions. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the use of data loggers. These aren't just simple thermometers. They are advanced systems that track the temperature every few minutes throughout the entire journey. They send real-time alerts to drivers and dispatchers if the temperature drifts outside those acceptable ranges we talked about earlier, which allows for immediate course correction. Furthermore, they provide a documented temperature history for quality control and regulatory compliance. They even use GPS integration so companies can correlate specific temperature events with exact locations and times on the map. It's basically total digital visibility.
Section 6. Managing the cold chain. Human ingenuity in logistics.
Despite all this incredible technology, a flawless logistical operation ultimately relies on human expertise. Successful cold chain management actually starts before the truck even arrives. Let's move to and see how this builds. Step 1 is pre-cooling. The trailer is brought down to the target temperature while it's still plugged into facility power, rather than draining the truck's engine. Step 2 is fast looting. The procedures here matter immensely. You have to minimize the time those trailer doors stay open to prevent warm air infiltration, while also ensuring proper cargo placement for that vital airflow. And Step 3 relies on regular equipment checks. Smart operators proactively inspect refrigerant levels, door seals, and temperature sensors as part of their routine maintenance to catch problems way before they become catastrophic failures.
But even with perfect planning, things break on the road. That brings us to contingency plans. Smart operators always have emergency repair protocols ready to go. They use backup generators, and they have transfer procedures in place to quickly move cargo to other trucks if absolutely necessary. This preparation is exactly what minimizes cargo loss during an unexpected breakdown, because at the end of the day, the mission must continue, no matter what.
So the crucial point is perfectly summarized by this quote from our source material regarding the expertise of groups like Texas Reefer Solutions. While reaching -20 degrees is mechanically impressive, the real skill lies in maintaining exactly the right temperature for each specific load throughout the entire journey. It is all about precision, consistency, and relentless oversight from the moment that trailer is plugged in to the moment the cargo is safely delivered. Which leaves us with this to think about. These unmarked trailers aren't just moving boxes. They are highly calibrated, mobile climates battling the elements to keep our world functioning. Next time you pass a reefer truck on the highway, ask yourself, what hidden climate is rolling right beside you? Is it a sub-zero deep freeze carrying ice cream, or a precisely tuned 40-degree environment carrying life-saving pharmaceuticals? The invisible science is always at work. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your curiosity rolling.